All right, very cool. So our recording has started. Go. Giving a few more minutes here for people to arrive. We'll start in about 2 minutes. While we're getting started, if we want to type in the chat, why don't you put something fun you did this summer for us? Let's see what all people did during the summer. So go ahead and type something in there. What is something fun? And it could be something simple that you can highlight it. Maybe you tried a new food. Maybe you tried a new restaurant. Maybe you went a new place. Lots of traveling. Kimberly, that is awesome. Where did you travel to? Tell us one of the places you traveled to. San Diego, Denver, Alaska. Oh wow, that is fantastic. Chasing waterfalls and lots of hiking. Love that. Love that. Went on a hike to a park in a very hard day. That is actually one of the things I love to do. I trail run there often. So that is awesome. And how do I pronounce your name? Janice Kelly? That is amazing. I can't open the doc. Oh, Isabel, it has you make a copy when you click the link. So you click the link and it'll make a copy to your drive so you could keep that. Just visiting my college age son who is working from home. And wow, very cool. Very cool. Traveled with my kids. Another one to Denver. Went to Mexico for 3 weeks. Went to Japan. Wow. Wow. A lot of amazing things we have going on here. I went to the beach boardwalk with my family. That is amazing. That is the best, right? Spending time with family. Spend time with kids in LA. Took my kids to Legoland. Beautiful. Wow. Love it. Love it. So welcome everybody. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. Slept in. I'm having to get my sleeping schedule in line before school starts, and it's not been the easiest thing. Very nice, Heidi. Very nice. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Um, the question in the chat for those that just walked, actually, I didn't even type it. It was just kind of give us something fun that you did during the summer. It doesn't have to be extravagant. It could be something simple, magnificent, like Heidi right there, sleeping in. Fantastic. Yes, that was one. Travel and camping and Mexico. Very beautiful, Cynthia. Very awesome. So welcome everybody. This is my presentation. It's called Are You Aware? So you might have read the description when we went ahead and typed that up. I made this presentation and I've been attending a lot of the presentations around our summer symposium here. And a lot of them have emphasized on these wonderful new mindsets and new ideas of how we approach teaching, how we take care of ourselves, and how can we best help our students out. So my presentation, when I signed up with Jen, I told her, you know what, I'm going to make mine unique. Mine's not going to be anything about technology or student-based. I want to talk a little bit about how we can care for ourselves, right? Because it is my belief that you can't give away what you don't have. And that sounds simple, but it's very, very important. You can't give away what you don't have. So if we don't take care of ourselves, it's not possible to take care of others. So my presentation is geared around that. And there is a PowerPoint. There are things in there that we're going to cover. But honestly, my typical presentations can start with one direction, and then we get some excitement, we get some energy in the chat, and they honestly take on a life of their own. So if we don't get a chance to cover everything, that's why I programmed a link for you guys to have a copy of the presentation, which has a lot of the things we're going to be talking about. And all of the crucial links have been pinned. So if you scroll up in the chat, there'll be the sign-in link for you to get paid. So please make sure you go ahead and fill that out. And there's also the presentation link, which, like I said, will have you make a copy. There is a Mentimeter, which we are going to be using for those that haven't used Mentimeter before. It's very simple. You just go to menti.com and enter that code, which is also listed in the pinned messages. And I've already pre-pinned the feedback link. So that's already all set and done. So let's go ahead and get started. So are you aware, right? What kind of question is that? I don't know if anybody has ever studied awareness or awareness practices or mindset meditation or anything like that. Can we go ahead and just get something in the chat going? Has anybody studied done anything with either mindfulness breathing, meditation awareness practices, uh, anybody have experience with that? Isabel, we have meditation. That is fantastic. Anybody else? By the way, I'm hoping this is wow, more than 30 years, Wendy. Jay, that is amazing. Mindfulness, Noemi. Yes. So yoga, breathing work, and meditation. I love it. I love it. Love yoga. A little meditation and mindfulness exercises. Yes. Yes, but limited mindfulness. Vegas retreat. I was going to say, David, that is fantastic. That could qualify, Tai Chi, great. Neuroscience studies, fantastic. Started yoga in high school and meditation in Zen while in college. Life-saving practices, yes, absolutely fantastic. This presentation, by the way, is, I'm hoping we're going to have a chance to interact. I'm hoping we're going to have a chance to discuss and learn from each other, and that I'm not going to be the only one talking for the next hour. And we'll all kind of learn from each other. The Camp Transformation Center hit gym in Salinas. Oh yes, that is a fantastic practice to care for ourselves. Absolutely yes. So let's get started with a little bit about who we are. So let's get to know each other. So I have here on our presentation, you could easily go to menti.com and enter the code 55432938 once it prompts you. It's just menti.com. You don't have to type Mentimeter. And what we're going to do is, let's go ahead and we're going to start filling out our first question. So I am going to share our tab, and it pops me out whenever I sometimes share things. So I apologize if I can't see the chat. If there is a essential question or a need that needs to be handled, feel free to unmute yourself and page me if I haven't seen your chat. But yeah, let's go to menti.com. We're going to use the code 55432938, and we're going to answer the first question. And the first question on our Menti for today is, please share your name and what your superhero name would be. Think superhero strategies, techniques, think whatever it is that whatever resonates with you when you hear that. So we got our first response there. Mindfulness and listening to music. Very cool. Oh, is that your name, or is that is that your superhero name? We have Noemi, would be super mom. Love that. Benito, Tigre Azteca. Love it, Benito. Love it. Let's keep going. They're answering the question that was up before. Oh, no worries. No worries. So the question on the menti.com is, please share your name and what your superhero name would be. Think superpower, and it should be, there's a little description whenever you go into the Menti. And actually I'm highlighting, you see if I hover my mouse over there, it'll highlight the question there. So cool. Esther Rios, super multitasker. Okay, yes. Super tia, love it. Steph, super frazzled. Oh no. Amanda, my roller derby name is quadrilateral damage. No, that is wow. What's the number again? It's on the pinned messages, but that number is 55432938. Cool. Wow, look at all these great superhero names. David Speedster, Scott, I Can Do It All, Karina, Art Lord, love it. Cecilia's just Cecilia, nice and simple, nice and short, keeping it to you. Ultimo, I wonder whose is that one. Scott, Do It All. Victoria, ultimate chef wannabe. No, I bet you're a fantastic chef. I haven't even tasted your food yet, but I bet you are an fantastic chef. Jeanette, the lioness and the owl peep. Look at all of these beautiful superhero names. Isabel, super know-it-all. Let's give it one more minute. And actually at this moment, I would like to take a volunteer. Maybe you could unmute yourself and tell us your name and your superhero name and why you chose that. Does anybody want to raise their hand and volunteer and chime in here? Do I have any volunteers, or do I do the teacher thing and pick someone? Maybe brave enough to unmute. Okay, Jeanette, let's go.
So my name is Janet, and I chose the lioness and the owl peep because I'm a Leo, and for me, it's anything that does with my daughter. I'm always on defense, but I'm always like, like the head taker. I'm always there for her no matter what. And even though I'm always like on the go, I always have that sensitive and compassion in me. And
Yeah.
then I'm also the LP because I always stay up to like 2 in the morning, like working on stuff and reading. And I know I shouldn't be doing that, but it's just I love like learning new things. So that's usually why. And it always, oh, my mind's always running, so that is the reason why.
Yes, I love it. Thank you so much, Janet. And I appreciate if I mispronounce people's names. Um, wow, and I love how you started with a Leo. So I study a little bit of astrology, and it's funny that you said owl peep. One of my friends who's also an astrologer, she says, whenever you're going to hang out with a Leo, take a nap before you go out with them, because when people are ready to settle down, they're barely getting started. So owl peep might make sense with what you with what you just said there. So thank you, Janet. Anybody else? Can I get another volunteer? Why did you choose your superhero name? Introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about why you chose your name there. Anybody? I'm gonna raise hand
Hello,
there.
this is Isabel.
Hey, Isabel.
I chose Know It All because I'm a mom, and of course, I need to know it all. And also, we're teachers, so we need to know it all, right? That's the reason. I just came up with that, but that's the reason I chose that.
I love it. I love it. You know, as parents, we're always right and we know everything. Well, fantastic. One more. Can I get one more to volunteer and chime in? Why did you choose your superhero name? Introduce yourself and
Okay,
tell
I'd
us
be
a little
happy
bit.
to. Can you hear me?
Robert. Yes, Robert.
Yeah. I coach a mountain bike team, and as I get older, I need superpowers to keep up with my riders.
Wow, that's impressive. How long have you been doing that for?
10 years since high school.
10 years. So I go trail running and I see those bikers, and oh my God, you guys are strong. Like your calves are like the size of footballs. Very fantastic, Robert. What was your superhero name?
Super biker, but I just don't have them.
All right. I love it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for go ahead and chiming in and telling us a little bit about yourself, telling us a little bit about your superhero name. I appreciate that. Again, this presentation is as much about it's about all of us, and it's going to go as great as we can participate and join in and learn from each other. So thank you so much. Very great names. So a little bit about who I am. I am a teacher here at Salinas Union High School District. I'm an adult ed at the adult school. I'm a former director, former CBO, assistant soup of business services, and a former nonprofit executive director. So I say this, I have those in there, former, I have it very, I'd highlight that because, sorry, every time I click between my chat and my thing, the presentation will go back and forth. But I highlight that because, you know, I've been in adult ed since I graduated college. So that would put about 13 years of doing that. And it was great. Like teaching for me, I'm sure like many of you, is a passion. It's for me, it's not work. Whenever I'm in front of my students, I am having fun. I'm having a great time. So in adult ed, I had the opportunity to work with people, and I'm still having the opportunity to work with people who have dropped out of high school or didn't go to high school at all and are working towards their GED, or even beyond that, where they're just learning English to then try to take a test, to then try to have a high school diploma. And so one of the things that I would often tell my students whenever I was working with them in the classroom is there was a saying that I had, and it was always stood out to me, and it's, don't go after the money, go after what you love first, and the money will come after. And I would always say that. Every time I had my students, they would often consult with me, and they would say, okay, Mr. Garcia, what do you think is the thing that I should do? And I was like, I don't know. What is it that you love to do? And they would be like, well, I don't know what's going to make me more money. And so I would always say, no, don't think of it that way, because you could be a doctor making $300, $400, $500 an hour, and you could be miserable. So why don't we focus on what is it that you love? What is it that resonates with your heart? And, you know, I did that for, when I was an adult, I did that for 6 years. And then I went to go get my MBA. And then I did the exact opposite of what I was telling my students. I went to go become a director. I was having a great time being a teacher. And I was like that parent who tells you what to do, and then does the exact opposite, and you see them and you're like, huh? So I went and I became a director. And when I became a director, I was miserable. I don't know, my ego, it wanted the title. It wanted I wanted to achieve. I wanted to say, "Oh, I'm a fancy director," and so I went for it. And when I began that job, I remember getting the office, sitting there, and just always being on email. In admin, you're always handling tasks. You're always putting out fires. It really takes a special type of person to do that work, and some people can do it. Okay, some of you can do. We're all built differently. I wasn't built for that, and I went for it. And what the result of that was is that over the course of the next 2 years, I was 26 when I was a director for the first time, and over the course of the next 2 years, my body, my life, everything began to break down. I lost 2 inches of my height from all the stress. It felt like the world was on my shoulders. So I literally couldn't function. I began to have digestive problems, blood pressure problems. I couldn't sleep. Well, I couldn't sit on chairs for too long because every chair I would sit on would hurt. And I still kept going. I kept promoting through those ranks, thinking, okay, eventually it's going to get better. Eventually it's going to get better. Well, it didn't. It did not get better. On the contrary, in March of 2021, I almost died. I was suffering so much stress. I visited my parents at home, and I went to the restroom, and I don't remember this too clearly, but I just passed out. It just passed out it was so much stress, and I split my head open on the edge of a granite counter. I didn't lose my left eye for about 2 centimeters. 2 centimeters saved my left eye, and I was bleeding out in the restroom floor. And luckily, my dad was doing laundry at that time, and there was a pool of, I'm sorry for the description, but there was a pool of blood that was pouring out under the restroom door. And that's how he began to wonder, what is going on there? Why, what the? So he knocks on the door, and I don't answer. And in a frantic panic, he gets my brother, and they knock the restroom door down to get me out. I was on the floor. I was done. And they see it would look like a murder scene, is what they described. It looked like a murder scene. I had lost so much blood that by the time the fire department got there, my heart had stopped, right? And so I don't know if I call it a near-death experience or I call it a death experience, because they had to use that, I always forget the name, defibrillator? Yes, defibrillator, to bring me back to life, right? And so, and when they say you see a white light, you do. You do. So as I was going through this death experience, and I was going through this tunnel, I remember, at that point, I was quote unquote successful. I was an executive director of a nonprofit, and I was making great income, had the house, had all the cars, had the engagement to the proposed wife, and all of that was all set, and I was miserable. So as I'm going down this tunnel of light, I said to myself, well, maybe this isn't too bad. And then I thought to myself, I was like, why am I thinking this way? What is going on? What is happening in my life? So that began the shift in my life, where I said to myself, well, maybe there's more to life than these societal egoistic accomplishments, and maybe I need to go back and rediscover what's really important to me. So the moral of the story is that the fire department did bring me back to life. I'm here now, yay. And I did survive, but I lost everything. I couldn't work. I was disabled. When I got hit in the head, they discovered 2 tumors growing in my body. I'm doing fantastic now. I will go into that. We don't have to go into that, but I'm doing fantastic now. And I began to lose everything, and yet feel free. Feel like this weight had lifted off. I even lost my relationship. I didn't even have a job, right? I was disabled. And so that's where the journey of self-discovery came from. It was like, okay, you have all of these things, all these materialistic, tangible things, but you're not going to live long enough to enjoy them. You're not going to be here if you keep on going at the rate that you're going in this life. And so I began this journey of self-discovery, self-awareness. I began to really discover my why. And it came in the form, I began to read books, personal development. I began to watch videos. I began to really just say, okay, what was I doing wrong? And there's a video that I'm going to present that helped me reestablish my why. But first I want to know your why. Like I said, this is a participant-led discussion. So why don't we go back to that Menti? So let's go to that menti.com, and we are going to now, I'm going to share the new tab, and if you just enter that same code, it'll have the second question for us, which is reflect on your motivation. Why did you choose to become a teacher? Share your thoughts and reflections. So again, that website is menti.com. Thank you so much, Esther, Brianna. I'm barely able to see these chats. Ashley, thank you. Janet, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Menti.com, 5543-2938. So let's see if we can get some responses in there. What's your motivation? Why did you choose to become a teacher? Share your thoughts and reflections. We have one coming in now. I chose to become a teacher to make a meaningful difference in children's lives. I am now in graduate school to become a school counselor, through which I hope I can do more. Oh, that is beautiful. I love that. Let's give a few minutes. What is your why? To inspire and empower. Yes, absolutely. By the way, we'll be using that same Menti through this whole presentation. There'll be one more question. So if you want to keep it open, that's fantastic. To try and make a difference for students with learning challenges, to understand where students with difficulties learning are coming from. Oh my gosh, that is amazing. Look at this. To be what I didn't have while in school, it takes only one. Yes, it does. I love helping adult students reach their goals for the benefit of the future generations and themselves. Oh yes, I wanted to help my community. I love helping people understand things, and I love math and science, and I want to help. Yes. Oh, look at all these beautiful messages. This is from you. Remember, this is a community-led presentation here, and wow. I had a really influential high school teacher that taught me to channel my energy to help others. Yes, to make a difference. Absolutely. Just to become a high school teacher because the students, and I'm hoping all of you guys can see as we're sharing these, you guys can read along, because the students can inspire and make me laugh. I hope that I can inspire them to be, oh, yes. Wow. Honestly, I'm even getting teary-eyed just reading these, just because it's so beautiful to work with you guys and call you all of you beautiful people, and call you my colleagues, co-workers, even though chances are we haven't all quite met. Here we go. I had a experience working with one-to-one students with special needs and decided to take the next step and become a special education teacher. Yes, it was a dream. Make a difference and empower people. Wow. Does anybody, can I get one volunteer maybe to jump in and on the call here and tell us a little bit about what you wrote? Anybody want to volunteer? You could just unmute and chime in. Anybody? We still typing? I'm sorry, I'm not. Oh no. Okay, no worries, Wendy. Jay, thank you. Anybody want to volunteer and just briefly tell us? These are all beautiful,
Hello?
by the way. Yes,
Hello?
Denise.
Yes. I was the one that wrote that I wanted to help my community. To me, it was like a calling. I mean, I wanted to share like the growth of learning that was bestowed on myself, from many college professors, many teachers. And so I just wanted to lend a hand and help in any way.
That is amazing. Passing on that beautiful experience and helping others. Yes, I love it. I love what we all wrote here. And like you, my why is very, very similar. And when when all of that stuff happened and I had had that accident and began to lose everything, there was still doubts. I was like, you know, I don't know. Should I? Should I? And so I came across this video by Dr. Wayne Dyer. I don't know if any of you have. I'm sure there's people in here that have seen it. So let's watch this brief. It's about 6 minutes, and we'll hear, I believe, a story that will resonate with a lot of our wives. So let's go ahead and watch this video real quick, and please let me know if you could hear the audio.
Share a little story here with you. It's a very tender story. It was sent to me by someone who sends me beautiful things in the mail. And I call it the Teddy story. And I'd like to read this to you, if I can do it without tearing up. And this story illustrates this as well as anything I've ever seen. There's a story many years ago of an elementary school teacher. Her name was Mrs. Thompson. As she stood in front of her 5th grade class on the very first day of school, she told the children a lie. Like most teachers, she looked at her students and said that she loved them all the same. But that was impossible because there in the front row, slumped in his seat, was a little boy named Teddy Stoddard. Mrs. Thompson had watched Teddy the year before and noticed that he didn't play well with the other children, that his clothes were messy and that he constantly needed a bath. Teddy could be unpleasant. It got to the point where Mrs. Thompson would actually take delight in marking his papers with a broad red pen and making bold X's and then putting a big F at the top of his papers. At the school where Mrs. Thompson taught, she was required to review each child's past records, and she put Teddy's off until last. However, when she reviewed his file, she was in for a surprise. Teddy's 1st grade teacher wrote, "Teddy is a bright child with a ready laugh. He does his work neatly and he has good manners. He's a joy to be around." His 2nd grade teacher wrote, "Teddy's an excellent student, well liked by his classmates, but he's troubled because his mother has a terminal illness, and life at home must be a struggle." His 3rd grade teacher wrote, "His mother's death has been hard on him. He tries to do his best, but his father doesn't show much interest, and his home life will soon affect him if steps aren't taken." Teddy's 4th grade teacher wrote, "Teddy's withdrawn and doesn't show up much interest in school. He doesn't have many friends, and sometimes he even sleeps in class." By now, Mrs. Thompson realized the problem, and she was ashamed of herself. She felt even worse when her students brought her Christmas presents wrapped in beautiful ribbons and bright paper, except for Teddy's. His present was clumsily wrapped in heavy brown paper that he got from the grocery bag. Mrs. Thompson took pains to open it in the middle of the other presents. Some of the children started to laugh when she found a rhinestone bracelet with some of the stones missing and a bottle that was 1/4 full of perfume. But she stifled her children's laughter when she exclaimed how pretty the bracelet was, putting it on and dabbing some of the perfume on her wrist. Teddy Stoddard stayed after school that day just long enough to say, "Mrs. Thompson, today you smell just like my mom used to." After the children left, she cried for at least an hour. On the very day, she quit teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic, and instead, she began to teach children. Mrs. Thompson paid particular attention to Teddy. As she worked with him and his mind seemed to come alive, the more she encouraged him, the faster he responded. By the end of the year, Teddy had become one of the smartest children in the class, and despite her lie, became one of her teacher's pets. A year later, she found a note under the door from Teddy telling her that she was still the best teacher he ever had in his whole life. 6 years went by before she got another note from Teddy. He then wrote that he had finished high school 3rd in his class, and she was still the best teacher he ever had in his whole life. 4 years after that, she got another letter saying that while things had been tough at times, he stayed in school and stuck with it and would soon graduate from college with the highest of honors. He assured Mrs. Thompson that she was still the very best and favorite teacher he ever had in his whole life. Then 4 more years passed, and yet another letter came. This time he explained that after he got his bachelor's degree, he decided to go a little further. The letter explained that she was still the best and favorite teacher he ever had, but now his name was a little longer. The letter was signed Theodore F. Stoddard, M.D. But the story doesn't end there. You see, there was yet another letter that spring. Teddy said he'd met this girl and was going to be married. He explained that his father had died a couple of years ago, and he was wondering if Mrs. Thompson might agree to sit in the place at the wedding that was usually reserved for the mother of the groom. Of course, Mrs. Thompson did, and guess what? She wore that bracelet, the one with the several rhinestones missing. And she made sure she was wearing the perfume that Teddy remembered his mother wearing on their last Christmas together. They hugged each other, and Dr. Stoddard whispered in Mrs. Thompson's ear, Thank you so much for making me feel important and showing me that I could make a difference. Mrs. Thompson came with tears in her eyes and whispered back, Teddy, you have it all wrong. You were the one who taught me that I could make a difference. I didn't know how to teach until I met you. Isn't that a beautiful story? Yeah.
Wow. That even makes me teary-eyed right now. So I remember sitting in bed, head still all banded up, stitches right across my eyebrow. And I was questioning whether I should come back and to teaching, and listening to that, I wonder how many Teddies all of us have helped, right? How many, aw, Janice, thank you. That, when I heard that, I said to myself, I don't want there to be a Teddy that goes away from my classroom unnoticed. And when I came to this realization and I came back to teaching, I now had a new appreciation for also not forgetting about myself. If going through that fire of sacrificing myself, sacrificing my body, all for this idea of my ego, to achieve all of these materials, if it taught me one thing, it taught me don't forget about you. So when I started this presentation, I said, I started with one thing. I said, you can't give away what you don't have, right? So even when I came back to teaching and I began to work on practices, self-care, personal development, mindset, motivational practices, as I was beginning, there were some days where I would walk into the classroom and I didn't have nothing to give. I still knew my why, I knew my purpose, but I had nothing to give. And I realized that it was because I was forgetting to take care of the most important person in my life. And I say this without vanity or ego. I say this with humility and appreciation of this life. I was forgetting to take care of myself. And so we're here together in this presentation. Wow, time is flying, to learn a little bit about ourselves and learn a little bit about how can we care for ourselves. So this will be our last mentee. If you can go back to the same mentee, we've always been using the same one. And we're going to answer the last question. And I would love to hear about what self-care practices do you follow and maintain for yourself. So that mentee, again, oh, wow, and I'm just seeing the wonderful chats again. Esther, Brianna, thank you. Oh, Ashley, thank you. If we could go back to the mentee, mentee.com, 55432938. And let's go ahead and answer the final question is, what is it that you do to care for yourself? I'm wondering, I don't know. Everybody has different things that they do. So why don't we go ahead and type up some responses there. Hiking and gym, devotional friend of mine. Yes. Taking time to read and bubble baths. Ooh, yay. Love that. Ride dirt bikes, watch movies, and take pictures. Yes. Wow. Dirt bikes. Healthy eating, lots of sleep and exercise after most of my work days. Wonderful. I try to laugh as much as possible. Ooh, humor. Big one. Being around family, cycling, weightlifting. Oh, yeah. A lot of prayer and Bible reading. Beautiful. Take the time to draw. Oh, drawing. Listening to music, exercise, hang with friends, hiking, Tai Chi, and going for walks. I go out with my best friend to taquitos and also hike. Yes. Walk my dog, exercise. One of my daily tasks is to make sure I take my lunch, walk my dog each day, hike with my daughter, and watch a movie. Ooh, love it. I'm a dog lover, by the way. If we have any dog lovers in the chat, go ahead and share some loves, share some emojis for your beautiful pets. Oh, sorry. I see. Thank you. I am not sharing the right tab. There you go. Thank you. Going to the gym, weightlifting, hiking, walking with my puppy. A lot of dog lovers here. I love it. I love it. One of my dogs changed my life and said, Denise has a cat. Yes, I just got my first cat a year ago. At first I was super scared of them, but they're amazing. Very unique personalities and very different from dogs. Love it. Reading and writing. So many beautiful answers. So many beautiful things. Do I have anybody that wants to just quickly chime in of what their self-care practices look like, you can go ahead and unmute and chime in. Do I have anybody? My sweet hound is begging for a walk right now. Almost. Say almost, Ashley. Anybody? Does anybody want to just unmute and give us a brief 1 to 2 sentences of your own practices?
I can go.
All right. Thank you. And how do I pronounce your name?
It's Janess.
Janess. Love it.
So yeah, just taking time to read. When I was in middle school and high school, I could burn through books. And then as I've gotten older, obviously that slowed down. So it's refinding that passion for reading. So I think right now I've read 16 books so far this year. My goal is to hit 20 before the year's over.
That's slowing down? Wow. Okay. You're beating my like 4 that I do every year. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Anybody else? Do I have somebody quick that wants to share?
I could share. My name's Esther. Yes. I like to go to taquitos with my friend. I don't know if you guys have ever been there. It's in front of the rodeo. And we've been going there for a while. So I'm kind of like a regular now. And they treat me like family too. And yeah, we just go and kind of vent to each other sometimes when we have a lot of stress going on and stuff. My best friend and I. Or I also go for hikes or bike rides. Yeah, to de-stress.
Wonderful. What do you recommend we get at Taquitos when we go? What is the specialty there?
I like Perla, and I also like their Chabela.
Okay.
Chabela.
There we go.
They're known for their chabs. Yes, it's really good. Highly recommend it.
Bye.
All righty.
I won't forget.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. Thank you for your beautiful responses to our mentee. And so what you'll find here in the following presentation of mine is I've put together some of my own practices that I follow, and I did this with the intention of what is simple, what can we implement, and you don't have to do all of them. You don't even have to do any of them, honestly. These are just suggestions. These are just things that help me in my everyday life. And they're really focused on mental health, social and emotional health, but our mental health and social and emotional health. And actually, as I practice these more and more, I pass these on to my students and my coworkers. If some of them are here in the presentation, some of them could attest that they'll often find me talking to my students and having a great time helping them. So awareness and awareness practices. I go to a lot of different spiritual retreats. I have a lot of different, Wendy J, I'm not showing the whole thing at once. I just have one in front, but we'll go through them here in the presentation, and they're in the presentation. So if you make a copy of it, you'll have them. So awareness being the first of the many practices, and if of all of these, if you just do a little bit of this one, the rest will follow. Awareness practices were taught to me by some of my own teachers, mindfulness, meditation, yoga teachers. You often hear them talk a lot about awareness. And what is that? I mean, but I will thank you. We oftentimes hear this word. We oftentimes hear awareness, and obviously at its most basic, I'm jumping ahead. At its most basic, awareness is what we know about, right? Are you aware? Well, if we study mindfulness, meditation, and yoga practices, awareness is much more than that. It goes a lot deeper, and it's very simple. It's actually not complicated at all. So a lot of us have, we all think, we all have thoughts, and some of us actually think really fast. And again, I study astrology, so if I have any Geminis in the building, you guys, whoa, super analytical. Your mind almost never stops, right? Virgo worries about everything, right? If I have any Geminis, Virgos in here. Sagittarius, me, very excitable. So we always have these dashing thoughts, and it's the nature of the mind to think, right? You're not going to stop all thought, but you can slow down those dashing thoughts. Oftentimes, whenever we have those difficult days, or we're stressed, or we feel like what we said earlier, that we have to vent, it's that we have this almost, it's a stressor that's in our mind that keeps repeating itself. And oftentimes, when we think about that stressful situation, what do? We'll end up thinking about the worst case scenario with that stressful situation, right? We hear a comment at work and we think, oh my God, I'm gonna get fired, or I'm gonna get relocated, or we went on a date and somebody doesn't call us, and we automatically think we're unlovable, or anything, right? We get a pain. We get a pain in our body and we're automatically planning our funeral. All right. So I don't know if I have any people that do that, but oftentimes these thoughts, they creep up on us, and it's perfectly natural. If you jumped into any of the other presentations, they went into the dynamics of the brain and the survival mechanism and all of that. Well, I'm not going to dive into that detail. We're actually going to keep it simple here. And I want to present to you this idea of awareness, which really has brought a lot of peace and joy into my own life by being able to slow down those rapid thoughts. So I'm going to tell you right now, you can slow down those thoughts. And actually, you can't even stop them. Briefly, at the beginning, if you study awareness and you do it more and more, like I make it a daily practice of mine, you find that you could actually be more present and be here in the present moment a lot more without any dashing thoughts. But for now, we're going to do a little activity, and you are welcome to do this by yourself in front of your phone. I actually can't even see most people because Google Meets doesn't let me. So I want us, if you're available and if you'd like to try it, you're going to see that your thoughts are actually going to cease for a moment. So if I were to just sit here and you're just kind of looking at me, or you're looking at the presentation, over a few minutes, the voice in your head will start. It'll say something. It'll be like, oh, where is he? You know, like in some sort of jungle, or what is that on top of him? Or what do I have to do today? Like the mind will automatically begin to have its internal conversation with us. Well, let's see if we can pause our thoughts for a moment. Let's see if we can do that. So here's 3 steps to awareness. And this is it. This is a big secret that I'm revealing here at my presentation for you. I want you to take a moment and just ask yourself, if it's available to you, am I aware? And I don't want you to answer the question with your mind. I just want you to ask the question. That's step 1. Step 2 is notice awareness. And step 3 is just stay as awareness. So let's try that now. By yourself and to yourself. You can do it in your mind. You can do it with your voice. You could say, am I aware? And if I could get anybody in the chat to go ahead and type in what they experienced, and was there any thoughts in your mind for a while after you asked that question? Or if anybody wants to unmute. And try it again. If it's not working out for you, try it again. Ask yourself the question. And don't try to answer it with your mind. Just ask yourself, am I aware? What happened? Ooh, hard to stay aware. My mind wanders. Yeah. Yes. It's beginning to wander. So if it's wandering, ask yourself the question again, and don't push away any of those kind of conversations or thoughts. Just ask yourself the question again, and eventually those thoughts will begin to drift off into the background. And you'll begin to actually feel just sensation. My brain yelled, hello? Okay, that's the exact opposite. And that's okay as well. See, when you begin to do awareness practices, you begin to become aware, and it's almost like you immediately pop out of your thoughts. And so you're able to observe them. And what'll end up happening over time is you'll begin to just allow the thoughts to be there. And it's almost like they gently begin to drift off. So let's try it again. Ready? Here we go. Am I aware? You begin to see, right? Cecilia, too much stuff on my mind. Asking myself, it made me stop. Wow. Okay, here we go. Rwanda made me stop and hear what was around me. Okay. And there was less thoughts. The awareness. You are aware. Yes. I am aware. And then my cat jumped into my arms. Beautiful. That is beautiful. So in the beginning, it can seem like there is no end to the thoughts in our mind. it can seem like this is actually when I started doing my own awareness practice, I was like, no. I was like, you're telling me it's just that easy. So at first you become, for some of us, you're instantly experiencing it. And you'll sit there, and actually if we do this in person, it's a little easier because I can begin to see your reactions and I can begin to see who's experiencing what. So in the beginning, it's almost like you're a stranger to awareness. It's almost like, huh, I can relate, except my pup barked. Beautiful, beautiful, Jen. So in the beginning, it could seem like, well, this is something that's difficult. If and when it is practiced a little more, you can stay longer and longer as awareness. And what that ends up doing for you is it ends up giving you a pause in those kind of chaotic, consecutive thoughts of all of the things that I have to do. And now here's what we're doing with awareness practices. We're not saying that the things that you have to do are not important. What we're actually trying to do is get your energy to calm and approach those tasks you have to do without the overwhelming, bearing kind of push that I was feeling when I was a director and handling 200 tasks at once, that's weighing us down. So the more you begin to practice awareness, the more you become aware, and the more things around you kind of begin to pop because the thoughts in your mind begin to slow down. I put a picture in here. If you were to look at this picture through awareness, you'll be able to see more detail in the picture. As we're looking at this picture right now, if the mind is going and going and going at 100 miles per hour, it's difficult. But if I ask myself the question, am I aware? The picture will begin to pop. It's almost like you become more present with what's around you, and the mind, the emotions, and everything begin to settle. And you could go through your day handling the tasks that you have to handle without having the continual burden, worry, anxiety of everything we have to handle. Now, awareness practices, oh my God, we could spend 6 hours here talking about them. So I'm really just kind of introducing the very basic about them. And that's really the 3-step process. And if you get this one thing, we're almost out of time. You don't have to practice the rest of the things that that I threw into this presentation. It's literally this easy. It's simple. It's not hard. And it really helps settle the mind, relax, and kind of bring us back to our center. So another mindfulness practice that I like to do is breathing. You know, we often, all the time, everywhere, we hear about breathing. Well, the practice that I'd like to offer here is the 3 breaths technique. And we have a few minutes left. You know, I had a lot more in this, but let's try this now if you're available. And again, you can do this from behind your phone screen. Nobody's watching you. So right now we're going to go ahead and do this breathing technique. So let's go ahead and just gently, if you can, with me, take a deep breath and then just let go. Just let go. Not if you're driving, but just let go. Okay. That's number 1. Number 2, as you exhale, just release. Release any tension, any worry, any doubt. And number 3, at the end of this one, just find your center. Whatever that means to you, just find your center. Oh, very good. Letting go would be, oftentimes we're holding on to things in the body, tension, right? When we're stressed, we're tensed. So the idea of letting go is a physical one. Thank you, Amanda. The idea of letting go is more physical. And the release, once you let go, you'll begin to see your emotions. You'll begin to see any worry, any anxiety. And if it's available to you, the release is just voluntarily for that moment. For that moment. We're not saying, again, that any of the tasks that are causing these emotions are not important. For that moment, you just release those emotions if it's available. And then the last part, when we find our center, we just, whatever that means to us. Everybody has a different center. I like to sometimes find it near my heart area, whatever that means to us, and we just kind of come back. That process doesn't take 2 minutes. So if you're finding yourself in a difficult moment, some stressful situation has come up, And this can be applied in our classrooms or at home. If you just, and even if you don't remember any of these words, let go, release, or center, even if you don't remember any of these words, if you were to just take 3 deep breaths, Wendy J with our students, yes, that will let you take on whatever it is that you're about to take on and kind of settle you back. Okay, so breathing, that's another beautiful technique. I'm going to kind of go a little bit faster through these. We're not going to get through all of them, but meditation is another wonderful practice. I definitely recommend it. I had a little mini meditation at the end of this, but I don't think we're going to have a chance to get to it because we only have 4 minutes left. But meditation creates space in your mind. And so I often tell people that I help, Wendy J, thank you. You're so amazing. I often tell people that the mind is a muscle. So meditation, everybody can meditate. And any way you do it is right for you. Okay. A lot of people will not practice meditation because they'll say, I can't get my mind to stop thinking. That's completely fine. If you just actually begin to sit and meditate once a day, you already did more. If you could achieve 1 second of not thinking, that's 1 more second that you didn't even have before. Yes, when I started, I had the same thing. I couldn't stop my thinking. I couldn't focus on anything, and it takes a while. So it's like a muscle. And what we're doing with these practices, you had awareness, you had the breathing, you had meditation. What we're doing with these practices is, think of it, we're building a tool belt that you can have and you can use, and it can be available to you when there's a situation that comes up that might cause you stress, might cause you anxiety. So I always tell people, you go to the gym, or when you go to the gym, you don't go to the gym to be at the gym. You go to the gym because you want that body to be healthy for the tasks you want to do in your daily life, right? So the meditation and mindfulness is the same. You meditate so that when life comes up, you have that tool ready to go as life is getting a little difficult on us. So meditation, another beautiful practice that we can look into is affirmations. The way we talk to ourselves, it's very important, right? Daniel, very beautiful. Or I can't concentrate. I must be doing something. When I get stressed, okay. I must. Everybody feel like if you start meditation, a lot of people will feel like they can't concentrate, or they're doing something wrong. You're doing it right. Whenever you feel you're doing something wrong, you're doing it right. And I promise it gets better. It gets way better over time. Affirmations is another big one. This will probably be the last one we get a chance to go over. Affirmations and self-talk is so important. I put a quote there by Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are correct, right? You are correct. So think about that for a second. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are correct. So what does that tell us? It starts there. It starts in the mind. So affirmations, when I started doing affirmations, I didn't believe them. My teacher she put me in front of a mirror, and I had to look at myself, and she had me say to myself, I love you. And I remember, that was hard. That was super awkward. And I looked at myself, and I remember the first time I said, I love you, I heard in the voice in my head, I heard, yeah, right. Like, who are you kidding? Right. So I was like, wow, that was an eye opener for me. It's like, how can I expect to get through life if I'm being the one who's putting myself down? And so I began the exercise of getting in front of a mirror and doing positive affirmations. I am strong. I am worthy. Think about those as you're reading them. I am strong. I am kind. I am worthy. I am thankful. I am deserving. I forgive and I am forgiven. As you say those, as I teach people affirmations, it's like your posture will change. You'll begin to be more present in the world, because when you have a negative self-talk, or when you begin to with these ideas, you'll often see the posture kind of shrink. So affirmations are a step we can take to begin to change that. And it's 3:30. I am so sorry. I should have taken a 2-hour session. I have the feedback link. If you guys can be so kind as to fill that out for me, it is right at the pinned messages. I can go ahead and put that here into the chat. And we can certainly, if some want to stay and hang out and finish a little bit, we can certainly do that. If you have to go, I completely understand, and I'm thankful for you to be here. And we can go from there. So I put the unique feedback link. So I'll just, for those that want to stay, if you got like about 5 more minutes, we can go ahead and continue talking about our little practices. Yes, a 2-hour will be welcome. You know what? I'm going to do one at Spring Q, and or whenever we have our queue for our district. So I hope to see all of you there, because all of you are amazing. All of you are wonderful for giving yourself a chance to be here and discuss these topics. So I appreciate each and every one of you. So I will, thank you. I will quickly just skim through these last ones for those that are kind of staying here. Mirror work, I kind of talked about that earlier. Take a moment of your day when you are by yourself in front of a mirror and just look into your eyes and say, I love you. At first, that might be difficult. At first, that might be awkward. At first, that might be hard. But I promise over time, the genuine feelings will begin to arise, and that will become a natural part of who you are. And I've seen so many people heal themselves just by doing this one thing. So mirror work, being patient with ourselves, awkward, yes, being patient with ourselves, self-discovery takes time to unfold. Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate you. Noemi, appreciate you. Stopping all criticism. I'm kind of just going fast through these just because time's up. We'll go more in depth. Spring Q. We'll see each other at Spring Q. Stopping all criticism. One of my favorite quotes from Louise Hay. We don't have to be bad and then change. We can be okay and then change. So stopping all criticism of ourselves and others. That's another way to love ourselves. Having fun. All of those beautiful activities that we discussed earlier, have fun as we're doing this. And try to ask, one of the things that I do with my own self-talk is whenever I get up, I ask myself, what do I want to do? What makes me happy? So today, doing this presentation makes me happy. So has anybody started their day like that? What do I want to do? What makes me happy? Those are questions that we could begin to ask ourselves. Thank you for taking the space to remind me. Oh, thank you, Janet. You're amazing. Then closing, I had the meditation, but it looks like we're all about done. I went fast to these last ones. I'll sign up for the Spring Q conference, and I'll tell Jen that I'll need a little bit more time. But again, I appreciate everybody for being here. Thank you for taking the time to do this. Let's continue to take care of ourselves so that we can best take care of our students. I appreciate each and every one of you. Much love. Thank you. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Randa. Thank you, Scott. And stop recording.